Okay, so welcome to tonight's workshop on emotional eating. The agenda for tonight, we're going to talk about impulse control, what causes impulse control issues, how impulse control issues could be affecting you, and then we're going to look at what we can do to improve impulse control and stop emotional eating. So we're going to look at cognitive behavioural therapy, mindfulness, EFT and NLP. And then we're going to talk about neuroplasticity and how hypnosis can help to increase neuroplasticity. We're going to talk about what hypnosis is and how it can help you to stop emotional eating. And then we're going to have a hypnosis session. And any questions or comments you can ask me at the end. So what is impulse control? So impulse control issues are common. And they're very common for people that grow up with dysfunctional families. Some estimates say that's around 80% of the population. So impulse regulation ranges from over to under control. Healthy personalities fall somewhere in the middle of these two extremes. So ideally, we want a healthy balance between over control and under control. So on the one hand, we need to control our impulses and to consider the consequences of acting upon an impulse. And then we need to decide how to act accordingly. We determine whether to allow ourselves to indulge the impulse or whether to inhibit it. And the inhibition of certain impulses enables us to behave in ways that are both responsible and socially acceptable. People with extreme impulse control issues may be pyromaniacs or kleptomaniacs. They may struggle to control their emotions, have violent outbursts. They're probably going to suffer with relationship and work issues. And it's estimated that around 10% of people suffer with some kind of impulse control disorder. With the current lockdown restrictions, many people are suffering with impulse control issues. A lot of people are buying things they don't need online. There's a lot of substance abuse, a lot of emotional eating, a lot of drinking taking place. And a Chinese study has found that people with higher levels of self-control were more resilient to mental health issues during the lockdowns and restrictions. So, question, do you over or under control your impulses? Type your answers in the chat box. Okay, emotional eating. Emotional eating is a common problem. As I said previously, under, yep, that's what most people do. Over control, under control, yep. As I said previously, most people use substances to make themselves feel better. And food is one of the things that people use. So emotional eating is when we use food to alleviate boredom, reduce stress and feelings of anxiety, or to reward yourself for something. Emotional eaters often reach for junk food, sugary treats, and other comforting but unhealthy foods. So chocolate is a common thing that people use to make themselves feel better. And you probably reach for chocolate when you feel depressed or bored or lonely. So emotional eating usually makes us feel worse because the original emotional issues still remain, but we feel guilty for eating too much junk. Regular overeating obviously causes weight gain, which leads to health and appearance issues. Relying on food or substances to cope with our emotions. Relying on food or substances to cope with our emotions can stop us connecting with those emotions, learning what they're trying to tell us, and finding healthier ways to deal with them. So no emotions are bad. We feel emotions for a purpose. We generally, anxiety is nature's way of getting us out of dangerous situations. Anger can help us defend our boundaries. It's when we try to suppress these emotions that it causes problems because we become disconnected from them. And if we suppress them long enough, it can lead to issues with depression and all kinds of problems like that. So, question: what foods do you crave when emotional eating? Let me know in the chat box. Chocolate, crisps, yep. Sweets, yep. Yep. So it's usually, yep, brownies, deep fried food. So it's usually comfort foods that we try to gravitate towards when we are feeling emotional. No one emotionally eats on carrot sticks or celery. So how to know you're an emotional eater? So you're an emotional eater if you eat when you're not hungry, or when you're anxious or stressed, if you eat until you feel stuffed, if you eat as a reward for something, if you eat to feel safe. So let me know which of those reasons to eat you do. Do you feel out of control around food? Let me know in the chat box. When you're anxious and as a reward, yep. When you're bored, yep. Stressed, yep. Yep. And who eats until they feel stuffed? Let me know in the chat box if you eat until you feel stuffed. Yep. 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 Okay, so how to tell the difference between emotional hunger and real hunger? So physical hunger comes on gradually, whereas emotional hunger comes on suddenly. And physical hunger can wait, whereas when we have emotional hunger, we feel like we need to eat right away. With physical hunger, all types of food are appealing, and with emotional hunger, you're looking for snack food, you're looking for crisps, you're looking for chocolates. As I said, no one is emotionally in on carrot sticks. Physical hunger stops when you're satiated, and when you eat for physical hunger, you don't feel guilty afterwards. So the emotional eating cycle, let me know if you can relate to this in the chat box. So something triggers you, it causes feelings of anxiety or stress, and you eat, and then you have feelings of guilt, negative feelings. So let me know in the chat box if that describes your negative eating cycle. Yep, you do it consciously. Totally, yep. Excellent. Okay, now, cognitive behavioural therapy is a very effective means to help with all kinds of emotions and issues. Yep, when you watch your favourite TV show, yep. So cognitive behavioural therapy systems theory says that when we change one part of the system, we can change all parts of the system. So, yeah, or movie, yep. So this goes back to the emotional eating cycle. So, as I said, you get triggered, which results in thoughts or feelings. And then those feelings result in the behavior, which is to eat. And that results in the physical reaction, which is to feel stuffed or guilty. So cognitive behavioral therapy says that by changing one part of the system, we can change all parts of the system. So if you change your behavior, you can influence the feelings, which can then help change the thoughts, which can change the physical reactions. So, for example, if something that usually triggers you makes you eat, instead of going to eating as the way to control that emotion or those feelings, if you did breathing exercises or EFT or some of the NLP techniques I'm going to be showing you shortly, you would change the way you feel, which would then have a knock-on effect on the triggers, which would change your physical reactions. And likewise, if you change the way you think about the triggers, you change the feelings, the behaviors, and the physical reactions. So, to prove to you that emotional eating is a process, I'd like you to imagine the situation. Imagine how you are in that current situation now when you're emotionally eating. And if you want, you can just close your eyes and picture yourself there and really connect with that version of you. See through their eyes and feel what they feel. And notice what your thoughts are in that situation. How are you feeling? And what are the behaviors? And then when you're ready, you can, if you've got your eyes closed, you can open them, come back to the present. And now I'd like you to imagine how you'd like to be in that situation. What will your new behaviors be? And how will that make you feel? What will you be thinking in that situation? So if you can see that by changing the behavior, by changing one part of the process, we can change the whole process. Let me know in the chat box. But let me know in the chat box if you've got any questions about that. Okay, so moving on. Yep, free from the overwhelming urge. Yep. Okay, so CBT for emotions. So it's important to remember that feelings come from you. Not sure how to alleviate boredom eating. I already do a lot to keep occupied. So what other things could you do? Could you read a book, or what could you do? Play a video game? Let me know in the chat box what kind of things you could do to alleviate boredom when you're emotionally eating. You could meditate. Give some ideas in the chat box. Okay, so CBT for emotions. Could read Psychology's magazine, yep. Okay, so CBT for go for a walk. Absolutely. So it's important to know that external events don't cause feelings. It's the meaning you're placing on the external events that causes you to feel emotions. Yep, hobby. So no one can make you feel an emotion. So one exercise you can do is to write down your core emotions. So they would be happy, sad, angry, anxious. Yeah, social media. Again, that can cause all kinds of emotions to come up. So social media may not be the the best place to go. So you could do this CBT exercise I'm showing you here. So write down your core emotions: happy, sad, angry, anxious, and then look for more specific feelings within these emotions. For example, anxious could mean that you're scared. So consider, is the feeling appropriate? So if you're feeling anxious, is it an appropriate time to be feeling anxious? And what's the evidence that it's appropriate? Rate the feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. This is called a SUD score, subjective unit of distress. And see if you can pinpoint what caused the feeling. And see if you can increase the feeling and if you can reduce the feeling. And what thoughts are you having with relation to the feeling? So write all these things down and keep a journal, keep a diary of them. And you can also consider like what you could do, as we said previously, what could you do different in that situation? And could you wait? So if you feel like you want to emotionally eat, could you drink a pint of water or something, or eat an apple or something healthy? Okay, so mindfulness. What's the difference between mindfulness and mindlessness? So mindfulness works very well with cognitive behavioural therapy. Mindfulness isn't about any particular kind of experience. It's about accepting everything, accepting what is, and not judging. Mindlessness is being constantly controlled by your thoughts and emotions. Mindfulness is being detached, being an observer and being present. It's about connecting to the present moment. And it can benefit us in many ways. It can help to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. It can increase our focus and our ability to concentrate. It can help with emotional regulation and enable us to make more considered reactions. People who practice mindfulness regularly have more empathy and understanding for others. It can also result in better health, reduced heart disease, lower pain, and blood pressure. Mindfulness can also help us cultivate free will and our ability to act freely. It can move us from being at effect and put us at cause. And it can increase awareness. So with the modern world and technology, we're constantly being distracted all the time with social media and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't use mindfulness, if you don't practice being present, the more you're being distracted by these things, the less able you are to be present, and the busier your mind becomes, the more controlled you are. So there are many things that we cannot control. We can only control the way we react to them. So by giving up control, we become less attached to outcomes, and we can change habits and unwanted behaviors. So there's many different ways we can practice mindfulness. As I said, it's not about achieving a state of trance. So one thing we can do is sitting meditation, to sit quietly and just focus on the breath. Walking meditation, to observe yourself placing one foot in the front of the other. Notice any sounds or sensations around you. And then there's the body scan meditation, just running through all parts of the body and releasing any tension. And just noticing any cravings or emotions, and just noticing and allowing them to pass. And everything passes with time. And sometimes when we just observe something, we'll notice it passing quicker. So something else we can do is neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. So what you can do with NLP, you can use a technique, a spinning technique. So what you do would be to notice where you feel the sensation in your body. So if you're feeling it in your stomach, you'd notice it there. And you'd use the SUD score. So you'd rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being something quite bearable, 10 being, something really, really bad. And then you can imagine it spinning like a wheel away from you. So coming out of your stomach and spinning back down, going just below your abdomen, your belly button, and give it a color. So if it's anxiety, you'd give it a color that relates to that anxious feeling. It could be a bright color like red or orange. And see if you can spin it faster, and see if spinning it faster increases that feeling. And then imagine popping it out of your stomach, spinning it back the other way. So spinning it back towards you, changing the color, and then popping it back in your stomach and noticing how that feeling changes. So that's a spinning technique that we can use to help us with our emotions. Okay, so that's neuro-linguistic programming. And then we can also use EFT. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. Who's heard of EFT before? Let me know in the chat box. Yes, yes. Yes. Okay, so EFT works on no. D says no. Pre says no. Okay, so quite a lot of you haven't. Okay, so EFT works on the principle of Chinese medicine, on the idea of meridians, and the belief is that if we have a blocked meridian, if any of these energy systems around the body are blocked and the chi can't flow, we get bad feelings. So something we can do when we feel anxious or when we feel like we want to emotionally eat is to tap. And there's a tapping sequence which I'm not going to run through because many of you already tried EFT before, but you tap various meridian points on the body, one there on the side of the hand, top of the head, side of the eye, and under the eye, under the nose, between the bottom lip and the chin. And by tapping these points, the theory is that you unblock this chi energy, and can reduce the bad feelings. And EFT can be used on all kinds of feelings and emotions. It can be used on anger, pain. It can be used on a wide variety of things. So that's EFT. Okay, so then now we come to neuroplasticity and hypnosis. So you can't be someone you don't perceive yourself to be. And the emotional part of your brain can't tell the difference between a real or an imagined event. So by using hypnosis, we can visualize ourselves the way we want to be. And this builds new neural pathways in the brain. And the stronger these neural pathways become, the more we can start to associate with ourselves that way. And the more we envisage ourselves this way, the stronger the neural pathways become. So to show you the power of your mind, I'd like to show you some exercises. So for the first exercise, I'd like you to take your right hand and point it out in front of you with your finger pointing out like so. And without moving your lower body, just turning at the waist, just allow yourself to spin round and just see how far you can go round. Find a point on the wall or whatever's behind you. Notice that point. Then come back to the center. Take a deep breath in. Close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, I'd like you to imagine yourself spinning around even further. Maybe going round all the way around, 360 degrees, going all the way around. It's only in your mind. Just imagine doing that now. And then open your eyes. And now once again, for real this time, I'd like you to take your right hand again. And again, without twisting at the, without moving your lower body, just twisting at the waist. Just allow yourself to spin round again. Just see how much further you can go the second time around. And if you're able to go further, let me know in the chat box. A lot further, yep. Excellent. Anyone else? Did anyone else experience any improvement the second time? Much further? Yep. 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 Works both ways. Excellent. Okay, so something else we can do to show the power of our mind. I'd like you to take a deep breath in and once again close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, just imagine you're walking in to your kitchen. And there on the side, on the worktop, is an orange. I'd like you to just imagine you getting a chopping board and getting a knife and placing that orange on the chopping board and just slicing into that orange, cutting a chunk out of that orange. As you do that, just imagine the juices flowing down onto the chopping board. Removing that slice of orange and lifting it up towards your mouth. Placing it in your mouth, biting down on that orange. Just imagine the juices flowing out and flowing onto your chin. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the present. Let me know in the chat box if that exercise made you salivate. Not really. Yes, dribbling, excellent. Thirsty? No, yes, excellent. Okay, so don't like oranges. Usually I do it with a lemon, but a lot of people tell me they don't like lemons. So yep. So just thinking of it can make your mouth water. Excellent. So that's the power of imagination. So who wants to experience some hypnosis? Let me know in the chat box. Yes. Yep. Okay. Okay. So hypnosis is a natural state that we all experience several times during the course of a day. If you've ever driven somewhere, got to your destination, not remembered the journey, that's hypnosis. If you've ever been watching TV and completely zoned out, and when whatever you were watching finished, you looked at your watch and realized it was time for bed, that's hypnosis. And hypnosis doesn't have to be a relaxing state. If you've ever been playing a sport, got a nick or a cut, and you just don't notice, you just keep playing because you're just so engrossed in the game, that would also be a state of hypnosis. So it's a focused state of attention. When we do it therapeutically, we're using the power of suggestion to make it a relaxing experience. And as I say, it's a perfectly natural state, but if you suffer with epilepsy, it's not recommended that you experience hypnosis. So if you do, feel free to walk away now or leave now. If you don't, just make yourself comfortable. Allow yourself to settle back. And when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to close. Begin focusing on your breathing. Notice the breath in, breathing all the way down into your stomach. As you breathe out, just notice that air flowing back up. Out of your lungs. See if you can notice yourself experiencing more relaxation as you're breathing in, breathing out. Maybe you can imagine yourself letting go of any tension, any stresses or strains as you're breathing out, just becoming more and more comfortable, more and more at ease. You can begin to experience trance comfortably, relaxing deeply, comfortably. And it can feel so good to just relax and enjoy that sensation. Hypnosis is not sleep, but it is a deeply relaxing state in which positive change can occur. So just listening to the sound of my voice, any other sound you hear can allow you to become even more comfortable. And at all times, some part of you will be listening to what I say, and everything that's going on around you. Another part of you can just drift away. And your conscious mind can drift and dream as your unconscious becomes more alert and more awake. If any thoughts should come into your head, maybe you can imagine placing them in tiny bubbles, allowing them to drift up and up, floating away, and becoming aware of any sensations in your body. Wonder if you can scan around your body and find the most relaxed part. And then when you've found that relaxed part, just imagine that comfort and relaxation spreading out like a ripple on a pond. And we throw a pebble, those ripples just spread out as they move further away. Maybe you can Remember time in the past, a time when you've been completely relaxed and totally at ease. Just remembering that relaxation now. Maybe you can get a sense of your arms and legs going loose, limp, floppy, like an old coat thrown across a chair. Sometimes people experience a floating feeling, so they've become weightless. They can feel themselves just drifting, becoming more and more at ease. And as a person starts to enter a state of hypnosis, they can become aware of various phenomena. They can notice the eyes moving about beneath the eyelids. Sometimes the tiny muscles in arms or legs may give a little twitch as they begin to release more and more of that tension. And in a moment, I'd like you to start counting backwards in your mind from 300. With each number you count, I wonder if you can imagine yourself becoming more and more at ease, more and more comfortable. Maybe you can wonder what it would be like to double that relaxation. It could be almost as though there's a tiny voice in the back of your head telling you to just relax, relax, relax. As I begin counting now, 300, relax, 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 299, 298, 296. And at some point you can notice that you've noticed those numbers completely relaxed out of your mind. And that's okay. When that happens, you can allow yourself to become even more comfortable, even more at ease. Allowing yourself to really experience that comfortable relaxation. Maybe you can imagine yourself safely, securely floating in a cloud, surrounded by a warm, fleecy cloud, experiencing comfort, relaxation. Maybe you can imagine yourself drifting into the future, seeing a future version of you, having adopted new habits, behaviors, having overcome that old problem with emotional eating. Maybe you can see yourself in those old situations, times when you used to feel stressed, anxious, experiencing new behaviors in those times. Maybe you can imagine yourself practicing breathing exercises. Maybe breathing in for a count of 5, holding your breath for 5, breathing out for 5, and then holding the space between those breaths for 5. Just notice how much more comfort that allows you to experience. And what will you look like when you've been able to reduce that eating? Will you look healthier? Will you be lighter? How will it feel? Really allow yourself to drift down, connect with that future version of you. See through their eyes, feel what they feel. Maybe you can imagine people complimenting you on how good you look. Allow yourself to really experience that now. Really connecting. Maybe you can get a sense of changes taking effect. Maybe you can imagine what it would feel like if those new neural pathways forming in your brain, help you kick that old habit, help you become this new, more in control version of you. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach the number 5, you can open your eyes and come back to the present, noticing how good you feel. Over the coming days and weeks, you can begin to notice things, allow you to know that these changes are beginning to take effect. So begin counting now. 1, maybe you can imagine the energy flowing back into your feet. Maybe you'd like to wiggle those toes. 2, as it flows up your legs, into your body. 3, down your arms and into your hands. Maybe you'd like to wiggle your fingers. 4, and on the next number you can open your eyes and come back to the present, noticing how good you feel. Maybe you'd like to stretch and yawn. 5, eyes open, wide awake. And let me know if you like that in the chat box. Thank you. Excellent, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yep. Excellent. Thank you, Yuli. Excellent. I'm glad you all like that. Okay. Okay, so I have created a emotional eating course which covers a lot of the things that I've covered tonight and a whole lot more. Goes more in depth with all the things I've covered, and it has has 4 or 5 different hypnosis recordings on it. So if you're interested in that, you can find it on Udemy right there. And I've also created a program to help people with emotional eating. It's going to be a 4-week program. I'm going to create a Facebook group where I'm going to put all of the videos from the course, and then we're going to have 4 sessions every week. We're going to look at accountability and coaching, helping everyone with emotional eating. So it's going to be a group thing. So if that's of interest to you, you can book a call with me and chat with me about it there. You can also book a free coaching session with me there. No obligation. It's entirely free, and I will be glad to help you with any issues you may be having, not just with emotional eating, with any kind of anxiety or stress or depression, any problems at all. Just book a session with me there, completely free of charge. So does anyone have any questions? Let me know in the chat box. let me know in the chat box if you have any questions. Nobody has any questions. Okay, so that's the end of tonight's presentation. Thank you everyone for coming. As I said, if you'd like to go more in depth in that, you can find my course in the chat box there. You can also book a session with me via the link that I've posted in the chat box there. Yes, Margaret. Thank you, Pri. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Can I do the course? Well, no, because I was going to upload the videos to a Facebook group and do it that way. I don't know how else I could do it. I mean, I could do it via Zoom, like it will be via Zoom. So yeah, I could do it via Zoom, and then, well, it will be via Zoom, as I said, and then I could give you a link to all the files for the course on Google Drive, and you could download them from there if you don't have Facebook. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. If anyone else has any questions, I'm going to stop.